Welcome to One More Hour, the podcast all about backyard ultras, timed races, and the ultra running mindset of going one more. If you're an ultra runner, a trail or ultra runner curious about the format, or just someone who loves to test your limits, you're in the right place. I'm Jackie Wilson, an ultra marathon and marathon run coach, trail runner, outdoor enthusiast, and backyard ultra expert. On this show, I'll bring you stories, strategies, and conversations with runners, race directors, experts, and more to help you go further, dig deeper, and keep going when everything in you says stop. Thank you so much for joining me for some yards. Let's get started with one more. Welcome back to the One More Hour podcast. Today's guest is someone who truly embodies the joy of seeing what is possible when you're really willing to stay curious and keep going. And I'm really excited about this conversation because I feel like curiosity keeps on popping up with just conversations that I had with other runners who have done backyard events or timed events. So Mary Namestnik is my guest today. I'm super excited to have her. She's a wife and a mother of 3. She's a running coach. She's a runner who really loves exploring both ends of the spectrum. She's qualified for Boston, but she's also run these far distances, and she's most recently dove into the timed event. So as you'll get the gist in our conversation, she's run multiple backyard ultras year after year after year, but she's also kind of dabbling in those longer distance events too in terms of time. You know, the backyard, you never know how far you're going to, or how long you're going to run, which I think is also part of the intriguing part of the format. But it's just fun to pull those different aspects out of races, not just the physical part, but the mental part. And it seems like Mary finds a lot of joy in pushing her limits and not necessarily proving anything, but better understanding what she's capable of and when she can push more and when she needs to stay patient and just really stay present in the game. So we're going to dive into her experience in the backyard format. We're going to do a little bit on timed events with across the years, which she just ran. And then we're going to talk about women in the backyard format. So thank you so much for joining me today, Mary.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Absolutely. So congratulations, first of all, on running across the years, 260-ish miles.
Yeah, just about.
How are you feeling? How are you recovering?
I'm feeling pretty good. It's interesting because coming immediately off of across the years, I felt good. And then kind of the nervous system and exhaustion started to set in, and I accidentally pushed the envelope a little too much. It's funny that you mentioned being patient because last night I was very patient, and today I'm suffering a little bit for it. So I'm learning the debt you go in whenever you push past 200 miles. Sure.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because, we have to be patient in the process. We need to be patient during the race. But at the same time, we're also not very patient people because we want to get back to running. We want to get back to strength training. We want to do all these races, but we also have to kind of learn for ourselves that you can't always push it.
Right, exactly.
So what was your experience with across the years? You signed up for the 6-day event, correct?
I did, yes. I went into it with the idea that I would try to get 300 miles. I wanted to do 50 a day, kind of back to back. And the first 3 days went really well, and then the wheels kind of fell off. I had never done a timed event before, so the whole thing was kind of like a learning experience. One of the things that brought me there was being a backyard athlete. I kind of wanted to see how people were troubleshooting their injuries and what they were doing to ensure that they were going as far as they possibly could. And I learned a lot. I was joking with one of the friends that I made there, and I called it pain management training camp. Just because, you would work on one thing, it would feel better, and then something else would pop up that you had to deal with. So it was definitely an adventure. The strategy that I had did not work out.
Okay. Did you take a similar strategy to the backyard, or did you vary from that? Because I find that once you can do a fixed distance race, and then you can do the backyard, and that backyard can help you with pacing and figuring out different things. But what you also learn in the backyard can help you in that fixed distance race. So did you What was your strategy going into the events?
The strategy was honestly just to like have fun and run when I wanted to run, kind of like walk when I wanted to walk. I did have intervals that I was able to stick to for the first 3 days where I ran 30 minutes and then I would walk 15 minutes until I hit 50 miles for the day. And then I would just kind of like walk a little bit of extra. I should have brought my lessons from the backyard to start slowly. My moving time on the first day for the first 50 miles was 10 and a half hours, which is definitely too aggressive. I know that now. And in the future, I will go slower regardless of how I feel.
Well, it's so interesting that you say that, because I feel like that's very similar to when people do run their first backyard. They do start out faster than they should, although at the time it also feels super easy. So, we're always learning something, and there's always something that we can do better, which means that we want to go back again and do it. So are you eyeing 6 days again?
I am. I feel like I learned enough to where if I go back, I would definitely be able to hit the 300 and possibly extend further than that. Maybe I could make my goal like 350, 400. When you're out there for so long, there are just so many lessons that you learn about. The massage therapist there taught me, the first 3 days that I did, I was exhausting myself and then recovering completely, exhausting myself, recovering completely. It doesn't work like that for 6 days. So he says, go out for a little bit and then recover, a little bit and then recover, and that'll take you a lot further. Okay. So I'd really like to go back and try that.
Yeah, that is really interesting. Just those little pieces of information from what others see too, because it's not always something that you see as a runner.
Right. And he's got the unique perspective of who's coming in that's injured, that's needing help right now.
Yeah.
And I think I was paying attention a lot to my system, and I wasn't necessarily thinking about like the impact that speed was going to have on my muscles too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and that's a good point, paying attention to the system. I don't know, sometimes you have to stray from that in order to go farther, which is also hard at the same time.
Right.
So before we dive into backyard ultras, can you just give us a quick rundown of how you got into ultra running?
Yeah. I was actually talking to someone about this earlier. I read the book Born to Run. I feel like that's very relatable for a lot of people. You read this book, you hear about, all these great stories of ultra runners. And I just remember I was like, oh, I got to try it. Like, I want to know what it feels like to run 100 miles because it seems like it's this great adventure. So, I decided to train for my first marathon following reading that, and I actually got pregnant. So I don't run when I'm pregnant. I have like a lot of hormonal issues. By the time I had the baby, I was like full speed ahead. I did my marathon, my 50K, 50 miler, 100K, and just, I don't know, once I got back to running, I just started like eating it up. Like I couldn't get enough of it.
That's so fun and interesting just to hear that progression, especially after pregnancy. Everyone's story is different, but to completely thrive and go all in is incredible. So was a backyard ultra your first ultra?
No, so I ran a 50K and then I signed up for the Blood Route 50 miler in Vermont. I'm not sure if you're familiar. It's like
I've heard of it.
Okay. It's mountainous. It's like sloppy, muddy. And I remember thinking like, oh, with all the vert, I'm not sure if I would be able to do it. I lived in a really flat area of New York. So I decided to sign up for this backyard to kind of like get a feel of what it would feel like to go beyond the 50K and if I could handle like a flatter, maybe 40 miles and where that would kind of project me to be in terms of how ready I am for a 50 miler. Didn't realize I was going to fall in love with the format. I ran 58 miles and I stopped because I had to, not because I wanted to. I just wanted to stay there and keep running. It was honestly like probably one of the best races of my life.
Is that a common theme for your backyard ultras? Have you been the last person standing for the majority of them?
The last woman standing for a few of them. For all of them, actually, I think. But I've never been the last person yet. I'm still waiting for that. I'm like, I was really competitive about it, like really trying to go for it the second and third year. that I went to the bullshit backyard ultra. I was like really wanting to be the last person. And then I went to Bob's Big Timber last August, and I was like, well, I'm just gonna go and have fun. And that ended up being kind of like my best backyard, like to
Yeah.
date. And I think it's because I did lean into fun and kind of strayed away from the competitive aspect of it. I think fun is a very large part of the backyard.
Yeah.
If you're not having fun, I don't think you can go very far.
Yeah, I agree with that. And to be out there with so many people hour after hour, I think that's one of the unique things about the backyard is you develop relationships. Yes, in every race you develop relationships with people, but there's no other race format where you are literally running every single hour with the same people and you just get to know them so well. And if you kind of hang back and you run those by yourself, like boredom can come into play. And there may not be that fun aspect after 12 hours or whatever. So really finding that fun, I think is a large part in finding success in the backyard.
For sure.
So you ran the bullshit backyard for 3 years. You're going to run it again this year, 2026. What was your first backyard experience like? Did you have a pacing plan, a nutrition plan going into it? How did you get ready for it?
I pretty much had nothing. I had this idea that I would be eating, whenever I came in from each yard, I would like drink as close to 16 ounces I could get. I would have a snack. But other than that, pacing strategy, I just went with how I was feeling. I know you mentioned there's a lot of people who go out too fast for their first backyard, and I was definitely that person. I was coming in from loops at like 40, 45 minutes, and just putting my feet up for 15 minutes, eating, drinking, and it worked really well until it didn't. I started, my muscles just all of a sudden started deteriorating, and I was like, oh, I can't go any further than this. When I would come in from the loops, everyone was just like, they were so kind. I didn't get to talk to a lot of people on the course because I was running ahead of everybody. Clearly, they knew what they were doing. Um, but yeah, everybody there was just super nice, and I don't drink anymore, but I got to take a shot with people afterwards. It was just like a really welcoming environment.
Well, and it's so hard to hold back, right? Because who wants to walk through the start for the first loop? But it's like something you do, especially if it's an uphill start. And that's something that you definitely learn the more that you do it. But I know when my husband did his first this past summer, he's like, why do we have to walk right now? Like, well, that's part of the game. So we're playing the long game right now, and this is supporting what you're going to be doing in 12 hours. It's fun to watch the people that are running for their first time and like helping them out too, with like, hey, maybe you should slow down a little bit, or like walk with me and talk for a little bit. How has your strategy evolved through your backyards over the past 3-4 years in what you've learned about the backyard format?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely like, I feel like even in races that aren't backyards, I take something away for the backyard. But now, as opposed to taking in my nutrition after a yard, I will take it with me, and I'll do it similar to how I run like a 100-miler, where I take in something every 30 minutes because my stomach does have a habit of turning early. I'll run like the first 50 miles, and then all of a sudden I won't be able to eat anything. But I have learned to go slower. The first BSBU, I ran pretty fast. Second one, I slowed down, did better. Third one, once again, I ran a little too fast. And then at Bob's Big Timber, I slowed down again. And I feel like now having the same kind of like back and forth where across the years I went too fast. Hopefully I learned my lesson and I'll stick with the slow strategy. But yeah, it's definitely just like every race, I feel like there's something I can take back into the format. And especially in terms of like managing, resting, learning to put up my feet, learning that each night loop I come in, I need to just lay down and close my eyes and pretend that I'm asleep, regardless of if it's the first one, if it's 3 a.m. I'm very much a person who needs to relax in between those night loops.
That's really interesting. And something that I haven't really thought about, because, sleep it can be a large part to the race, especially the longer that you go. But even just resting your eyes and convincing or trying to convince yourself that you are resting, that's a really good tip for anyone in the backyard format that hasn't really considered that yet.
Yeah, even closing your eyes and laying back for a second, it brings your heart rate down. At Across the Years, the first night that I was there, actually, there was so much wind in my tent, was like blowing like all over the place, like hitting the cot, and I couldn't sleep, but still I like laid there for 8 hours with my eyes shut, and I was like, I know this is going to pay off tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like, I know pretending to sleep is going to pay off.
So do you have a crew? I know you've posted a lot, or your husband has shared too. Do you have a crew for all your races?
My husband is my crew. Sometimes my sister will come out and crew. I really love when she does. But she lives in North Carolina now, I believe. And it's a lot harder for her to come out now than it used to be. But my husband's like, he's really into it. He really likes it. He'll be the one to push me. There's a video of me, I think the third year of BSBU, where I come into the tent and I'm like, I don't think I could do this anymore. I'm dizzy and like my head is down, like in my hand. I'm like, I can't do this. I can't go on. And then he's like, you're fine. You're doing fine. Like, you're going to go back out and you're going to run another one. And I'm just like, oh no. But like, I ended up being fine. So he's kind of like learned the cues to where like I can keep going versus when it's enough. And he'll try to still push me out. He knows that I don't ever want to stop at camp. He'll always make sure that I go out on another yard. He has a spreadsheet of all my nutrition information. And
Oh
if
my
I'm
gosh.
on anything, he'll be like, you got to have more sodium. You got to have more calories. He's very on top of it. I definitely wouldn't be able to do as well as I do if he wasn't there.
Yeah. Crew is so crucial. And it's good that he knows when you need to be pushed and how you need to be pushed. Because sometimes having family is hard because they don't want to push back. Even though that's what you wanted when you were thinking logically before the race. So it's awesome that you have that support from him.
Yeah. And he's actually brought in one of his friends who's my friend now. His name is Josh Janish, and he's also they're kind of like push and pull, where like Josh is a little bit on the softer side and he's like, you're doing great, like just like push through it, and Eric is like, why are you complaining? Like, you're fine, let's go. And like I definitely need like both sides of it.
Yes. Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
What does a lot of people are interested about setups. What is your setup like?
In my tent, you mean?
Yeah. Are you bringing everything? Are you minimalist? What are you bringing with you?
I bring absolutely everything. Everything. I bring like my whole wardrobe, especially for BSBU. Like the mud there, I've never run into anything like it in my entire life.
Oh.
So the second year, the course actually flooded, and we had to change my socks and my shoes almost every single yard. And they were putting my shoes on like a boot dryer, and just like the chaos of changing outfits every 3 yards, of changing shoes, changing socks every yard. It was just a lot. And we're glad we brought basically our entire home to BSBU because we did need a lot of stuff. Typically we overpack nutrition, but I mean, especially with backyards, you never know what you're going to need.
Yeah. That's the approach that I like to take too, because every race is different, and sometimes I'm all for liquid nutrition and sometimes I don't want as much, and then same with changing. Sometimes I want to change a lot and sometimes I'm like, no, I'm fine. So I like being prepared.
Yeah. It's funny because like I'll change my outfit a ton at BSBU, but then when I ran Bob's this year, I brought like all kinds of cute clothes. I was like, I'm going to have fun. I'm going to wear this. I'm going to wear that. And then my husband like would bring out an outfit change and I was like, no. I was like, I don't want to do that. I was like in the same shirt for the whole 100 miles. I smelled horrible afterwards, but I was like, I'm not changing.
Do you have a strategy or a routine when you get back to your tent of what you're doing every single time, or does it kind of vary based on what your needs are?
It varies, but I do like first thing I sit in a chair and I put my feet up. And then I'll give my pack usually to my husband and he'll put in like whatever I need, any like any gels, he'll refill my water. And then I'll basically just, if something hurts, I'll let him know, and then he'll help me with that, but kind of wait and try to lower my heart rate until that final whistle and then pop up and go again.
Are you carrying a pack every loop?
I carry a pack every loop. Yeah.
Security blanket?
Like my yeah, yeah. I need it. I wore it across the years too. Even though the laps were like 1.4 miles, I like needed my pack on.
Yeah, yeah. When it comes to mindset, where's your mindset at going into the race? What kind of goals are you setting, and just how are you sitting going into the race?
So I used to try to set like mileage goals and like try to get a certain number of yards, but now, as of August of last year at Bob's, I kind of learned that like I can't focus on that. I myself can't focus on it. The goal is just to go until I can't anymore. And that kind of looser goal, I think, was what ultimately got me past that 24-yard mark this past year. Mm-hmm. Because I was thinking, I knew I wanted to get to the 24-yard mark. I've been wanting to get there. That was my third attempt to get there. But then when I got there, I was like, well, I'm not like totally done yet. Mm-hmm. So I was able to do like one additional yard. And I feel like even though it was just one additional yard, I'm really proud of that one extra, because I knew that was when my body was finally like, my knee blew up. And if I had pushed it any further, I would have probably actually been injured. Mm-hmm. So just the aim is to go until I drop, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. I like having looser goals and not saying, okay, 100 is my goal. That's my A goal. Because I feel like the brain recognizes that, and that's when everything starts to shut down and say, okay, we're done. Even though you're not there yet.
Yeah, for sure. My first year, my goal was like a 50K. And then I was like, oh, I think I could go 100K. And then I hit like the 50-mile mark, and I was like, oh, that's kind of like, that's a milestone. And then I just kind of like jogged it in, and I was like, I'm done. And that's when my husband was like, you're not done. So yeah, it's definitely like kind of hitting those like milestone mileages. It's a trap.
Yeah.
For sure.
So when you are experiencing pain or you have a sensation, how are you deciding between this is manageable or I need to be done because this is a red flag and could be an injury?
So a lot of it has to do with if it's changing my gait. If I can, walk or run and it looks normal and it feels normal for whatever amount of pain that I'm in, generally I'll continue. But if something's kind of like, if I have to kind of drag my foot, I'm like, this injury is going to travel somewhere else because I can no longer walk the way that I need to or run the way that I need to. And that's kind of when I pulled the plug at Bob's. At across the years, I ended up pulling the plug because I had really horrible shin splints. I did not know that they could get as horrible as they did. And it started traveling up my leg into my adductors. And that was kind of when I was like, if this is starting to travel, that's when we need to stop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a really good point. How are you managing your mindset when you're starting to notice these things? What are you doing to calm yourself down or try to get your mind off of it?
I look at it from a management perspective. Instead of freaking out because there's pain, where is the pain coming from? What can we do about it? What are our next steps to make sure that we can get to the other side of it? Because one of the things that I did learn it across the years is like, not all of it's temporary. There are things that you can do where you can keep running or you can keep walking and it will subside. Mm-hmm. So granted, not the injury that took me out, but I did have other things pop up that I was able to actually manage. And I think keeping myself from panicking about it and worrying about it too much was really a big factor in that, and seeing it from like the management perspective, pain management. How are we going to deal with this?
Yeah. That's a really valuable skill to learn and have just in running in general. Mm-hmm. So before you get back, your husband says, no, you're going out again. You're not done yet. What's going through your head at that point? Is it a hard line in the sand of like, okay, I'm going back out? Or are you talking to yourself to really get out there, get started, and convincing yourself that you can keep going?
It is always that I'm going back out. If I cannot physically walk to the start line, then I'm not going back out. But if my legs are working, it's a non-negotiable at this point where, like, if the legs work, the legs are going to take me to the start line, and then the legs are going to take me out on the yard.
Do you have any advice for runners who struggle with that part, where they are really battling with their minds in creating that as a non-negotiable?
Yeah, it's rewarding. So if you think about it in terms of, like, instead of I'm really hurting, I don't want to go back out there again, it's almost an immediate reward whenever you get up and you do cross the start line. That's the hardest part. And once you cross the start line and you're like, oh, I can do this, you start moving, your muscles start loosening up. Because the muscles do get really stiff whenever you're, like, not moving anymore. And I think that's when people start to doubt themselves.
Yeah.
Once you start moving and you realize you can do it, generally it carries you through the rest of the yard.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a really good point. And it's just reminding yourself that it does get better and that you just have to start again. And you'll be thankful in 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah, maybe not right away, but definitely, like, when things get warmed up and you've suddenly got, like, another mile under your belt, it's going to feel a lot better, and you're going to be like a little proud of yourself.
Yeah. Have you had any really quick turnarounds where you're coming in when you've heard the 2-minute whistle or the 1-minute whistle?
Yes, that was my last yard at Bob's, and I was kind of thinking that I was done whenever I went out on the 25th yard, and I think I came in at like 58-ish minutes, maybe 58:30, and, like, I hobbled across the finish, and then I told my husband, I was like, I really think I'm done. I sat down. Kevin Beachy ended up talking me into just, like, starting again, and I was like, okay, I'll start again. But generally at that point I knew I wasn't going to be able to complete that final yard and also make sure that I didn't leave injured. So that was really the only close call I ever had. I've never had one of the heroic moments where, like, you know, you have a 59-minute yard and then you turn it around and you're in it for 10 more yards. I think people who do that are incredible. But yeah, that's the closest call that I've had.
Is there, besides making sure to get your legs up, close your eyes at night, is there anything that you're doing differently in the night loops?
I come back a little bit on, like, hydration, not nutrition, but I will come back on hydration just because something about the night loops for me personally, I'm not working as hard, and maybe it's the course where it's like it's flatter. It's lower stress. I'm not running as hard. I just don't need quite as much. It's a little cooler too. But other than that, I try to keep everything the same.
What are the courses like for Bob's or bullshit? Like, are they pretty flat? Is there elevation? What are they like?
Bob's is very flat. The day loop is really, really scenic. It's really nice. The night loop is primarily on country roads, which is nice. The pavement hurts a little bit. But it's faster, which is, it's nice. And then at the bullshit, it's a lot hillier. The day loop, once again, like, the scenery is really nice. It's on someone's family farm. And then the night loop there, it has changed every single year. I have night loops that I liked there and night loops that I didn't like as much. This past year was a very difficult night loop. Scott Snell was there. He wrote about it on his blog. There was like a boardwalk section where you would walk a few feet on, like, a board, and then you would be in mud, and then you'd be on a board and you would be in mud. And it was very hard. But honestly, I think that specific night loop mentally made me a lot stronger. I didn't make it all the way through the night loop. I didn't do 24 yards there, but I definitely think, you know, it's just a matter of, even if you don't like something, if you want to hit your goals, like, you have to get past it. And so that was kind of like a lesson for me, you know, who cares if you don't like the night loop on any given year? Just, like, get through it. You'll be back at the day loop before you know it anyway.
Yeah. Oh, I absolutely love that. That's such a good lesson just for life too. Like, you're not going to like everything, but in order to get to whatever you want, you have to do some of those things that you don't enjoy.
And And every other year, I've really liked the night loop at the bullshit, which is, I think, why this past year stung so much.
Yeah.
I was like so looking forward to it, and I was like, this is so hard. There was something about like going up and down where I was just like, oh no.
So you're finding joy out there. Are you ever getting bored?
No, I don't think so. No, I've never been bored. I don't know why, because it seems like it would be boring in the
Oh my
loop
gosh.
format.
I need to find. Okay, anyone listening to this, if you get bored in the Backyard Ultra, please send me a message because I want to talk to you. Because everyone that I've talked to does not get bored, and I personally get bored. So, maybe I don't know if this plays into it, but I'm very much an introvert. But I will talk a lot and I'll listen a lot during the race. But I don't know if getting bored has an aspect of like needing to recharge. Because I will get quiet and I'll be like, okay, I'm going to listen to a podcast or whatever. And that's when I start to get bored. So maybe it's just a me problem. Maybe it's an introvert problem. I don't know. But if anyone gets bored, please talk to me.
Yeah, I've never gotten bored, and it could be because like my brain just kind of shuts down a little bit, and it's like I try to keep myself like very even, especially throughout the night loops. But yeah, I mean they say keep your lows from getting too low, keep your highs from getting too high, and I think just that middle ground where I'm like I'm not gonna let myself get bored. I think
Yeah.
I think I stopped feeling at a certain point, but who knows what it is.
Well, it's so interesting just how everyone is so different. What is your social game like?
I don't know. I'm kind of shy. I'll talk to people when they talk to me.
Okay.
I will actually talk to people when they talk to me. And I like talking about like what races they have coming up, like where they've been, what they're doing. It's interesting because like sometimes they'll line up and then I'll try to get a lot of people I talk to at like other races to come run the bullshit with me. I'm like very much like always trying to sell people on that one. But yeah, I mean, I let other people lead the conversation because you do get people who want to talk about, I've talked about my shorts. I've talked about other races that I'm doing. I've had someone literally come up to me and be like, we're doing a brain check. How are you? And I'm like, I'm okay. How are you? So yeah, I think it's just interesting, like what other people want to talk about. I did get to pick Scott Snell's brain last year, and like I had tons of questions for him. If I ever talk to someone who's gone like really far in a backyard, I'll definitely ask my questions. But other than that, I think when other people steer the conversation, it's a lot more interesting for me.
Yeah, definitely. Have there been any times where you've needed to encourage others to help them go farther?
I have wanted to, but it was also in an area where I was in a dark place. So unfortunately, I was unable to. And it was actually, it was pretty devastating for me because it was another girl who was aiming for that 100-mile mark. And I really did want to get there with her. But I was deep in the hole at that point. So, but yeah, earlier in a backyard, I've definitely kind of like dragged a few people back on the loops, but generally the chaos, especially of BSBU, you never know where you're going to be. And I don't consistently run loops with people. There's been like one race where I've run a lot of loops with one person, but other than that, yeah, I try, but I definitely like I'm up and down as much as I try to be even. So
Yeah. No, I love that you try to find that even point. That's definitely something that I'm going to try for the next one. Not get too high.
Yeah, my husband was talking to me at Bob's and he was like asking me what music I wanted to listen to, and I told him, oh, I want to listen to this, and he was like, really? Like that's gonna get you through the night loops? And I was like, I just need something that's very bland right now.
Is there anything that has surprised you about yourself in the backyard format?
Honestly, it's the ability to push past when I think I'm done. I've had issues where like my back gets tight, I have like chest pain and everything, and like I've pulled back. There was one year where I had a really severe migraine and I was able to run like 72 miles with it.
Wow.
And I I mean, just going 1 yard at a time, like, and gathering those miles, like going nice and slow and like pulling them in. It's shocking how far you can go when you're in pain, when you have a migraine, when you think you're done. You know, just one additional yard puts you 4 more miles. And they rack up quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, that's for sure. Do you think that's your favorite part of the formats, is that 4 mile reset?
I don't know. Favorite part of the backyard. I love every part of it. I do like the 4 mile reset. I don't know if I can say it's my favorite part. I'm like a backyard fangirl. I love every part of it. I think my favorite part of it is just like seeing all the people that go, and you see so many people PR their distance in a backyard. Like that's ultimately, like, I love coming in from a loop and like hearing all the side conversations about like, oh, I've never run over 10 miles, but then they're running over a marathon all of a sudden. Like,
Yep.
I feel like that's probably one of the most beautiful things about the backyard.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And a lot of times they don't even know what to expect, right? And it's fun to watch them yard after yard grow through the process and really start to test that curiosity of, I didn't know that I could do, like, there was someone who was going to run 3 yards at the last one that I did, and I think they did like 12. And it's just fascinating to watch that process and how they work through different things. But it's really just somewhere you can grow in so many different ways.
Yeah, the backyard presents a lot of opportunities for people, I think, and just like people, various walks of life, various goals. Everyone comes there with something different, and I think we all take away something different.
What do you think is the most misunderstood thing about the backyard format?
That you have to go super hard and you have to be like mentally really, really strong. That's for like people who are trying to go 100 miles in the backyard, 150, 500 miles. Like, yeah, you have to be mentally like really prepared to go in the hole for that one. But the first 12 yards are like really easy and really fun. And I don't think people expect that it's kind of like a festival. It's like a running party.
It is.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so much fun. Yeah. And I talk to a lot of people who are like, oh, I kind of want to try a backyard, but I'm like nervous that I'm not going to be able to go very far. And it's like, typically, unless you have like a goal set for yourself, people aren't like pushing you to go super far and like hurt your body or anything. They're just trying to have fun.
Yeah. And everyone is so encouraging too, and helpful. Like, if you don't have crew, there's going to be someone else that's going to help you. Whether that's other crew members or runners who are done running, or volunteers, there's always someone around that's going to help you out.
Yeah, volunteers at the backyards are just amazing. Like, they are some of the most hype people I've ever met. Like, they're just cheering, like, every time you start a loop, just like the mass, like, let's go, and then all the cheering. That's all, honestly, one of like the most powerful things I've witnessed in a race too.
I agree. In terms of the backyards that you've done, are they self-sufficient? Is there an aid station that the race director is providing? What does that look for the two that you've done?
It's definitely a hybrid. So there's like an aid station at both of them.
Okay.
Bob's Big Timber does slushies now. They were doing like lemonade slushies and like
What?
Coca-Cola slushies, I believe. And it was so refreshing.
Yeah.
And then,
And that's in August. So that would, as the
Yeah.
kids say, that would slap.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, it was great. And then at BSBU, it's usually like something warmer. But both spots have something for the runners. It's not like, I mean, I'm sure people can sustain themselves on it, but I'd say it's a good hybrid where like you can take things from there, but you definitely want to bring your own stuff too.
Yeah. What would you recommend for someone who has never done a backyard ultra in terms of approaching their station, having a tent or a chair and nutrition? If someone walked up to you and said, hey, I'm also doing Bob's, what should I bring with me?
I mean, I'm a person who brings everything. You know, you're talking to a person who brings everything, but the must-haves.
Well, let's say they have no experience with trail running and they're coming from the marathon.
Right, okay.
So think about a marathoner who's coming over to the trail world.
Yeah. You know, bring sweet snacks, bring salty snacks, bring things that you don't think you're going to want to eat. because whenever push comes to shove, like during the night loops, you don't know what you're going to be craving. Bring the gels for when your stomach turns, if you do need them. Bring your electrolytes, bring caffeine. Caffeine's a big one, really important one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, just making sure that you have a wide variety of stuff for when you can eat, and then when you can't eat, having something else there that's like easy on the stomach, like even applesauce.
Yeah. And for our listeners, if you haven't listened to one of the first episodes, I think it was episode 4, Kayla Fitzgerald, she's a registered dietitian who works with runners. She did an episode with us all about nutrition. So definitely go check that out. But she was actually the one that pointed me in Mary's direction. And she's like, you have to follow Mary. You have to check out. Like, she loves the Backyard Ultra, which I'm very thankful that she did that, because it's been fun just following these races and across the years and just your journey.
It's funny because when I listened to Kayla's podcast that she did with you, I know she mentioned that she ended up giving a tampon to somebody at the Barclays. And me and my husband were just like, we were giggling in our car because I was like, that's me.
Oh, that is fun.
Yeah, it was like the first time we met. She was like, hi, Mary. I was like, hi, Kayla. She's like, how are you doing? And I was like, not great. Here's my dilemma.
Oh. So I have one more question before we kind of switch a little bit. Someone who has done a Backyard Ultra before, who wants to go further, what advice do you have for them?
I'd say probably just keep your feet moving. I think that's honestly the best advice. As long as you keep your feet moving, you're going to go a little bit further. The minute you stop walking and you start thinking like, can I continue? That's ultimately whenever things start to crumble. So as long as you like I was saying before, get up, get to the start line and start moving past it, you're going to go a lot further than you think you can. So just keeping the feet moving, trying not to pause, and like whenever the doubt creeps in, just that forward motion is really powerful.
Yeah, that's excellent. All right, so I want to talk a little bit about women in the Backyard Ultra format. Also in general, just timed events and ultra running. Like, we need more women in ultra running. But what's your experience with the races that you've done and kind of what the field has looked like?
So as far as Backyard Ultras and the timed events, I've only done the one at Across the Years. There were a lot of women that showed up for that one.
Okay.
Backyard Ultras, I mean, it seems like 25% is like a really good number of women in a backyard, which is really low. I think Bob's had maybe 10%, possibly less.
Okay.
I know looking at the entrance list for Bob's for this upcoming year, it's still really early for it, but I think aside from like one other 15-year-old, I'm the only woman signed up right now.
Wow.
So its numbers for the backyard are super low, and I think women almost have a leg up in this event because we are able to kind of like listen to our body better and like take care of ourselves early on, and that'll pay off in the end. Like towards the end of the backyard, it just seems like we can't get women to sign up for backyards.
Yeah. Do you think they're intimidated by the format or by more men running them?
I do. I think that it ultimately comes down to there not being a women's division in the backyard, which in itself is controversial. And then I also heard someone mention once that women don't sign up for things that they don't think they can finish. Because if they're going to put the effort into something, they want to make sure that they can finish. And you technically receive a DNF whenever you don't win the backyard. So with those two things, I think the value of the backyard lies elsewhere, and it also helps improve upon other races. And if we can get more women to just like go out and try, I think we'll find that A, they're better than they think they might be at the backyard, and B, they enjoy it more than they think they will.
Yeah, absolutely. In terms of the mindset and the belief, how can the backyard really rewrite that narrative of, okay, yes, like technically if you have the assist to a backyard, as in you come in runner up to the winner, you have a DNF, but it's three letters, right? Like, it's three words, and it's just something on Ultra Sign Up. And that does not define who you are as a runner, doesn't define you as a person. I mean, you could have gone 200 and some miles. And how do we shift that narrative of whatever you do is amazing and you push beyond what you thought you could do, and it's not assigning as much value on that DNF?
I wish I had a good answer for it. I don't know if there is one right now. I do know, setting those personal goals is really powerful, and, wanting to see how far you can push your body, but I know that's also not something that everybody wants. So
Yeah.
for the women who do, I think that's why they like the backyard. But I wish I had a better answer for that.
It's a last woman standing race. I think it's like a mile or so is the loop in Wisconsin coming up, that I've heard a lot of people, they were setting an alarm for 1 a.m. or midnight or whatever to sign up for this. It's all women. And I think that's incredible. And I mean, if we could get more women into that setting and grow their confidence to go into a general backyard or a last person standing event, I think that would be absolutely incredible. But I love seeing these other events where it's like women only, so that they can kind of toe the line and kind of dip their toe into the world of the last person standing format.
Yeah. Is this Queen of the Ridge? Is that what I'm thinking of?
Yes.
Okay. I wanted to sign up for that one. That one looks like it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it does.
I'm hoping that whenever my husband, he's currently in the Army, he's getting out, we're going to move to like a new area and actually settle down. I'm wanting to create more of those events where it is like focused on women. We can have like, the last person standing format and like just allow women in so that they can see how it goes. They can build that confidence, and then maybe they'll go and they'll apply it in other backyards.
Yeah. Are you involved in any women running groups, Trail Sisters, anything?
I'm not. I do want to get involved with Trail Sisters, but for right now, I'm very much like a solo runner. I will talk to a lot of other women who are running events and like kind of like see where their brain's at, like pick their brain. And, one-on-one, I'm friends with a lot of women who run ultra marathons, but groups are difficult, like with group runs and everything, because I do have 3 kids. So like balancing everything is such an act. Like there's a few, not specifically for women, but ultra running groups here that I've wanted to get out and see. And we've been here for 2 years and I've been able to get out once. So I do want to get more involved for sure. The extent of my involvement for now is just trying to like build the confidence and as a running coach, steer my athletes and, help them build that confidence so that they can go apply it,
Yes, absolutely. So what's the number one piece of advice that you have, or maybe not even advice, the number one comment you have for the women out there who are thinking about getting into ultra running, possibly doing a backyard ultra or a last person standing event? What conversation are you having with them to help them have that confidence to toe the line?
That you're more powerful than you think you are. Going into ultra running, I think a lot of women, they already feel pretty empowered to start ultra running. And then they just find out like their potential is so much higher than they thought it was. And I think running ultra marathons, just by virtue of what it takes, like mentally, physically, you become more confident. It is a confidence builder in itself. So in terms of like women's empowerment, I think it's the greatest tool. And if we can get more women out there, it'll also encourage other women to get out there once we start boosting those numbers.
Yeah, absolutely. Grab a friend and just do it together. I think doing a backyard ultra with someone, if you're hesitant to doing it, is a lot more fun and helps you get there if you're doing it with someone else. So if you can grab a friend and sign up with them, and just approach it with that curiosity of, I don't know what I can do, but we're going to try it together and we're going to push each other. And I think that also leads to more confidence as you continue to take that action of running yard after yard after yard.
Right. And like make it fun, make it girly, like do the
Yeah.
body wear, wear the pink, like
Yep.
do all like don't feel like you have to fit into like a certain ultra runner persona whenever you go out there. The
Yeah.
most fun I had at across the years was whenever I put glitter on my face. So
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
bring the girliness to the backyard.
Yeah, I've seen different costumes, different outfits, all the glitter. What else have I seen? Changing clothes very frequently and having like almost a theme to every yard. I met someone who, based on what she was listening to, she would match her clothes to what she was going to listen to. So I thought that was really fun.
Yeah, that is awesome.
Anything else that you want to comment on before we move to our last two questions?
No.
Okay. So the last two questions that I asked all of our backyard ultra runners are, number one, what advice, and I think we've really touched on this a lot, but for those that are hesitant, what are you going to tell them about signing up for a backyard?
Just do it. Rip the Band-Aid off and find out what it's really about. We all have these preconceived notions about what it's going to be like at a backyard. I was really scared for my first backyard, and it was nothing like what I thought it was going to be.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it's also kind of, we put ourselves through these situations by thinking about it, and then we have to do it again. And once you conquer that fear, you've already gained that confidence because you took that action and you realize that it's not as bad as you built it up to be.
And you might find it something that you really, really enjoy. I was just doing the backyard to kind of like use it as a springboard for the 50 miler. I didn't think that I was going to be like leaning towards becoming a backyard specific person,
Yeah, absolutely. Second question is, if you could only fuel with one source of fuel for your entire backyard, and this could be funny, this could be realistic, whatever, what would you choose to fuel with?
I was thinking about this one. Could it be passion?
Ooh, I like that.
There we go.
I like that.
So.
I like that answer.
Yeah.
Mary, thank you so much for having this conversation with me. I love how you approach the races with curiosity, and it's not just a race. It's a space where we can really explore patience and resilience, and women can really find out like, what are you actually capable of, and pushing beyond what you actually thought you were capable of without forcing a finish line or that finish or a definition of success. And that DNF is just something that's written down. It doesn't define you. And pushing in the backyard allows you to push further than you ever thought was even possible. Can you tell everyone how to follow you, how to follow your running journey?
Yes. You can follow me on Instagram at Mary Runs Ultras.
Awesome.
And actually, my husband, he has a crewing Instagram now. So he's Eric Cruz Ultras.
I love it. And you're a run coach, correct?
Yes. I am a run coach with Team Run right now.
Awesome. And who do you work with? Or who do you want to work with?
Anybody and everybody. I obviously love working with women. I also work with men. I actually work with youth as well. I noticed that there are not many people who will work with youth when it comes to running, even though there's big interest there. But anywhere from 5K to ultra marathons.
Awesome. I will make sure to get all of that in the show notes. But thank you again. And if you are listening to this episode, if you're wondering, should I do a backyard? What should I do? Please let this conversation be your reminder. You don't need to have it all figured out. You don't need to be able to run super fast. Like, this is not about running fast. You don't need to be able to run a certain mileage. Like, go out and run your furthest distance on the trails. Run your furthest distance at all. Like, you don't know what you're capable of until you go out there and try. So please just try to go one more hour or one more step. And again, Mary, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks for tuning in to One More Hour. If you enjoyed this episode, hit follow so you don't miss the next yard, and share it with a runner who loves pushing their limits. I'd love to hear your own stories of going one more. Connect with me on Instagram at the One More Hour Podcast. And if you could leave a quick review, it'll help more runners find the show and keep going when they want to stop. Until next time, just go one more hour.